Alright, imagine this. You walk into a meeting. You lock eyes with the person across the table. And what do? Almost instinctively. You reach out and shake their hand. It's quick, casual, almost automatic. But have you ever stopped to ask why? Why do we touch palms with strangers? Why is this awkward little hand flap so universal, so deeply ingrained, and sometimes so uncomfortable? Today, we're exploring the unexpected history, psychology, and cultural complexity behind the handshake, and what it reveals about power, trust, and human connection. Let's dive in. The ancient origins of the handshake. Contrary to what you might think, the handshake didn't start in the boardroom. Historians trace the gesture all the way back to ancient Greece, around the 5th century BC. Early depictions on pottery show soldiers and citizens gripping hands, not as a greeting, but as a sign of peace. Why the hand? Because it was the place where you'd carry a weapon. By showing your empty hand and gripping the other person's, you were signaling, "I come in peace." No hidden blade. No threat. It was part diplomacy, part security check. The gesture spread slowly, through Roman culture, then medieval Europe. Knights would shake hands and arms to dislodge any hidden daggers or poison. In short, the handshake started not as a greeting, but as a trust test. From peace to politeness, the rise of the modern handshake. So how did it evolve into a social nicety? By the 17th and 18th centuries, especially in Quaker communities in England and colonial America, the handshake became a more egalitarian greeting. The idea was radical for its time. Instead of bowing, a gesture steeped in hierarchy, Quakers offered a handshake, signaling mutual respect and equality. Over time, this idea caught on across Western societies. The handshake became standard practice in business, politics, and personal introductions. It wasn't about peace anymore. It was about politeness, civility, and respect. But make no mistake, it still carried power. In many cultures, a firm handshake came to symbolize confidence, honesty, and masculinity, especially in the business world. The psychology of touch. Let's zoom in for a second. Why touch at all? Why not just nod, wave, or say hi? Because touch is one of the most ancient, primal forms of communication. In fact, researchers have found that a simple touch, like a handshake, can activate parts of the brain associated with trust and bonding. It releases oxytocin, reduces stress, and helps build rapport almost instantly. It's also highly regulated. We shake hands with the right hand. We shake for a certain length of time. And if someone doesn't follow the rules, it gets awkward fast. That's because a handshake is more than just a greeting. It's a ritual. One we've all been subtly trained to perform. When a handshake goes wrong, think about how many subtle cues are packed into that 1 second of contact. Is the grip too weak? You're spineless. Too strong? You're aggressive. Too long? Creepy. Too short? Dismissive. That's why some business coaches offer entire handshake tutorials, teaching people how to master the perfect grip for interviews, meetings, or sales. Because in many cultures, the handshake is still a social test. It says something about who you are, even before you open your mouth. Cultural differences. Not all hands are shaken equally. Here's where it gets interesting. While the handshake is common in many parts of the world, it's far from universal. In Japan, for example, a bow is still the preferred greeting. In India, it's namaste. In many Islamic cultures, men and women may not shake hands at all. Even within handshake cultures, there are nuances. In France, handshakes are often quick and light. In Germany, firm and brief. In parts of Africa, handshakes may involve multiple slaps or finger snaps. And in the US? We've taken the handshake and added variations. The bro hug, the fist bump, the dap, the business shake, the sports slap. Each one sends a slightly different signal: friendship, respect, dominance, playfulness. Your handshake style becomes part of your social identity. The pandemic effect, the death of the handshake? In 2020, COVID-19 changed everything. Suddenly, the handshake, once a symbol of trust, became a potential biohazard. Fist bumps, elbow taps, and even air handshakes replaced the age-old gesture. Some experts even declared the handshake dead. But was it? As the pandemic waned, handshakes crept back into everyday life. Why? Because humans crave ritual and connection. And for better or worse, the handshake has become a deeply embedded way of saying, we see each other. We acknowledge each other. We are not enemies. Power plays in gender politics. It's also worth noting that not all handshakes are equal, especially across lines of power, gender, or class. In professional settings, women have historically been taught to shake like men to be taken seriously, something that reveals a lot about implicit bias. Meanwhile, politicians and CEOs often use handshakes strategically, pulling, gripping, placing the other hand on top, to assert dominance. Donald Trump was famous for his aggressive yank handshake. Vladimir Putin rarely offers one at all. Each approach sends a message. Even something so small, so routine, can be weaponized as a signal of who's in control. Real-world examples. Barack Obama popularized the dap and hug combo in more casual public settings, blending professionalism with approachability. The Pope once made headlines by refusing to shake hands with certain world leaders, fueling speculation and symbolic interpretations. LinkedIn even offers handshake emojis and GIFs as part of networking, turning a physical ritual into a digital metaphor. In every case, the handshake carries weight, whether it's used, avoided, or subverted. Final thoughts. The handshake may seem simple. But in reality? It's a loaded cultural artifact, steeped in history, psychology, and meaning. What started as a gesture of peace evolved into a symbol of equality, respect, and sometimes power. It's a way to say, I see you. I trust you. Let's begin something together. And even in a post-pandemic world, even in digital spaces, this need for ritual connection hasn't gone away. Because at the end of the day, humans are meaning makers. We take the mundane and make it sacred. Even something as ordinary as a handshake can tell a story. If you found this exploration fascinating, give it a like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss a deep dive into the weird, wonderful rituals that shape our lives. What's the weirdest or most awkward handshake you've ever experienced? Drop it in the comments below. Stay curious. Stay human. And I'll see you in the next one.